For decades, the John Boulware photographs have been touted as some of the most compelling evidence of a soul leaving the body. The image of a young man seemingly captured in anguish, with strange streaks of light and apparently a ghostly dog, has left impressions on many who believe in the paranormal. These photos have circulated for years, popping up in books, documentaries, and countless paranormal forums, and they're often presented as undeniable proof that something lingers beyond death. But when you break it down, is this really proof of life after death, or is there a much simpler explanation? In this video, I hope to dissuade you to my side, and that there is a simple explanation for it, and it has to do with old cameras. The story takes place in St. Paul, Minnesota in 1984. Officer Brian Coyle and his partner Mark Kempe responded to a fatal car accident on an intensely foggy, drizzly night near Highland Park. The crash victim was a young man who had no apparent external injuries, but was found deceased in the vehicle. Standard police procedure meant photographs were taken at the scene, but days later, when the film was developed, the images shocked everyone. Officer Coyle describes seeing a ghostly face appearing to scream, positioned above where the victim had been sitting before the impact. The photos also contained streaks of red and white light, which some claim represent the victim's energy leaving his body. Even more bizarre was another image that appears to show the spectral form of a dog on the driver's side door, which I can't find myself, but people have described it so many times it has to be somewhere. If you know where, leave a comment down below. Some, like psychic and author Echo Bodine, believes that this is the young man's pet coming to guide him to the other side. But now if we strip away the eerie storytelling and the emotional weight behind these images, the technical aspects tell us a different story. So let's start with the most glaring issue: double exposure. So the most logical explanation for the ghostly image of the young man is that the camera film was exposed twice. This means that the film wasn't properly advanced, and the image of the victim in the car was overlapping with the later image of an empty vehicle. The face floating above the car is likely just a second exposure of the victim's body from before it was removed. When you're using old film, like on this analog Ricoh FF1S, you have to manually advance the film after every shot. It seems likely that during the taking of the photograph of the boy while he was lying there on the seat, they might have taken a close-up face shot and then never advanced the photograph until the exterior photo of the car was taken. I don't know if you were alive at the time that these cameras were still used, but I remember them. I remember advancing the film like this. Every time you take a photo, you have to advance the film. If you don't advance the film, you take two photographs on the same negative. And what that does is it produces a photo quite like this one. Now, given that this was 1984, the cameras used by the police department were very likely exactly like this, meaning that there's a huge chance that the officer just didn't advance the film before taking another shot. The red and white streaks are classic light trails caused by a long exposure in low light conditions, and with thick fog and light sources in the area, the camera would have easily captured extended streaks of light as it processed the image over a long time. And since it was a drizzly night with poor visibility, any nearby emergency lights, headlights, street lights, or even the chrome trim, you know, the lock peg, which, by the way, that's another thing that old cars have that new cars aren't really known for, is the peg to lock and unlock the car. Everything was chrome. Everything had a chrome trim. So every single surface that's reflective produced its own light as the flash went off on the cameras. And given the idea that he was taking the photograph and then putting the camera down so that he could move to a new angle to lift the camera back up, you can expect to understand why all those streaks showed up in the photograph. Now, another important thing to note here is that these are crime scene photos. Not crime scene photos, but these are photos of an accident with a deceased 16-year-old boy. It's important for us to understand that during the process of taking photographs of the scene, it's very likely that he would need to also take a photograph of the boy's face. So he likely leaned into the car, pulled the jacket away from his face, took a photograph of his face, and then it's a distressing thing. Taking a step back just didn't advance the film. Took a photograph of the car, remembered to advance the film. Now there's double exposure. The face, the ghostly face, is bright because the flash was present when he took the picture of the child's face. And let's be honest, it is a child. I mean, he's half my age. Or he was. This is an extremely upsetting thing. I can't imagine the family. Not just the... Does this mean that any of the people were wrong to be moved by the images? Not necessarily. Seeing something like this, especially when you're already dealing with the trauma of an unexpected death, can deeply affect the way that you interpret it. The mind fills in the gaps, and what we're dealing with is something, it's an emotional death. We often see meaning in places where there may be none. So at the end of the day, John Boulware photograph is not proof of the soul leaving the body. It's just a product of 1980s film technology, a mix of double exposure, long shutter speeds, and natural human interpretation. It's a reminder that when we're dealing with extraordinary claims, we have to apply a critical lens. I'll leave it off with this. This boy, he was too young. This is a tragedy. And during my research, I came across many people who attributed things like, oh, the light rays are headed towards the ground, which means he's going to hell. And other atrocious statements like that. We need to be respectful. This is a young man, a boy. He was in high school. He was 16 years old. I hope this video reaches as many people as possible so that we can stop trying to explain the idea that this was paranormal in any nature. Let the family move on from their loss and let the poor kid rest.